Guys, breaking news coming out from Real Tommy this morning. Look at this. Agent George Mendes has proposed a double deal for City of Pedro Neto from Wolves and João Neves this summer. He's from Benfica, very young player, very high prospect player. The total cost of Neves will be offset by allowing his other client, Bernardo Silva, who of course has got that £50 million release clause, to go the other way. Now, here, a couple of things I want to speak about on this one. First of all, let's start off with Pedro Neto before speaking about João Neves, who's obviously going to be a superstar. We can all see that when you see him play. Pedro Neto, listen, I think he's a great football player. I think he's a brilliant football player. But there are a couple of things that concern me. One, the injuries. Now, I spoke about the injuries before. I've done it to death. I don't need to do it again. If you've not seen his injury record, go check it out on Transfermarkt. He's had 2 major injuries. He's only 24 in his career. Yeah, that was out. I think he was out for over 200 days in both times. That concerns me. And he's injured again. So his injury record ain't great. Then I look at the way he plays. I'm starting to think, does he really suit Manchester City? I've said for some time, I actually think Pedro Neto suits someone like a Liverpool. And I think if Liverpool sell Salah, then they should go for Pedro Neto as a potential replacement. He doesn't really strike me as the type of player that City are going for. Having said that, though, City are moving mad with their winger signings. We signed Doku. He's not really a player that I would say suits Manchester City typically, but obviously we signed him. We've signed Savio, who is probably slightly more in the mould of Manchester City. Still a little bit more like aggressive on his take-ons and stuff, but he can hold the ball up and stuff, so that's okay. And of course, like we've been linked with Pedro Neto. We've been linked with Leroy Sané again this morning. I don't know how much truth's in that. He just doesn't strike me as a type of player to sign for Manchester City. You look at João Neves on the other hand, yeah? This kid is goated. Now, he's got a big release clause, around 100 million euros. Now, whether or not you can get him for cheaper than that, I don't know. But obviously what Tom is saying there in that tweet is that if you do give Bernardo Silva to Benfica for 50 million, obviously net spend is going to cost you around 50 million net spend. I know that's not how it works in terms of actually on the books, but that's obviously just normal to the layman. That is obviously how it works. So are we going to get him? Listen, my concern is at the moment with our midfield is that I think we have a lot of midfielders that are not world class in terms of winning Premier Leagues and winning Champions Leagues game in, game out. Look at Kovacic, for example. When we signed him, he really should have been a squad rotational player. He's played a lot of minutes this season. You look at Matheus Nunes, a player that I've told you so many times, I actually like Matheus Nunes before anyone gets it twisted. I think he's a great football player. He's unique, he's different, but I don't see where his long-term future is at City in terms of a position. Because are you going to play him in the midfield regularly, week in, week out? I don't see that personally. Pep clearly doesn't trust him as a DM because he's never been tried there properly, and he weren't tried there when Rodri got suspended, even in the Newcastle game in the Cup where he could have trialled him. So I then start to look at him and go, well, he's not going to play him on the wing regular. So that's my issue with Nunes, is where's his long-term future going to lie? Kovacic is slightly different. He's coming towards the end of his career, and he's more of a squad rotational player, and I accept that. He signed João Neves. João Neves potentially has the ability to come in and start week in, week out for us and do maybe what Gundogan did. But he's very young. He's very inexperienced. And it's a lot of money to pay 100 million euros on a player that we're not sure of. If he comes in, we need to make sure he works. If he doesn't, people are going to be looking at that going, hang on a minute, what's going on there? Another player that we've signed. So I would just rather us focus our attention in that midfield on a player that we know has the ability to come in and play week in, week out. Now, on that note, Lucas Paqueta played last night for Brazil against England, and he played in the midfield. Now, there's an argument he could have potentially been sent off with the amount of booking challenges he did, but he is just absolutely. I just think that he's what we need, man. He's what we need in that midfield, guys. A little bit of quality, a little bit of aggression with his tackling. A little bit too many times this season, I've seen us just sort of like be a bit soft. And of course, Pep Guardiola famously called this out last year when Rico Lewis was getting bullied on the pitch and none of our team was helping him out, getting involved. Lucas Paqueta, for me, would add that little bit of grit, add that little bit of steel to our midfield. And I think Lucas Paqueta, of course, we all know we're linked with him, needs his gambling charges. But instead of playing him on the wing, because he plays on the wing a lot for West Ham on that left-hand side, could we actually play him in the midfield? Listen, it's certainly an interesting one. And listen, I'm not saying I don't like João Neves. I do. From what I've seen, he looks like a real talented player. But I look at him and think, is he ready to come into our midfield and start week in, week out for a team that wants to be winning Premier Leagues, a team that wants to be winning Champions Leagues? I don't know. And the money that you're going to pay, it just seems a lot. Now, if you get Paqueta, Yeah, you can potentially get João Neves and say to João Neves, right, you're going to be in and around that midfield, but obviously you're not going to be starting. The question is he going to accept that? And then you do have a problem then with Kovacic and Nunes, because then you're going to have KDB, Foden, João Neves, Paqueta, Kovacic, and then Nunes. And people can talk to me all they want about, oh well, there's more games in the Champions League next year, LB, and you got the Club World Cup. Come on, man. Like, there's going to be a couple of extra games in the Champions League, and the Club World Cup ain't till the end of the season anyway. I just think we're going to be too heavily stacked in that midfield. So I don't know, man. I said it at the time in the summer. I feel like that signing of Nunes, although I like him, I think it's going to cause us a few issues this summer in terms of who we go for. What we're going to do with Kevin De Bruyne. He's still not signed a new contract, and those Saudi links are not going anywhere. So I don't know, man. You have to let me know what you think in the comments. If it was me, I'd go get Paqueta, because Paqueta can play left wing, right wing, centre forward, false nine, midfield. So he's going to get games. Yeah, he's going to be like the new Bernardo Silva. I've said that for some time. João Neves, I'm game for getting João Neves. You want to get João Neves? Go get João Neves. But I don't see you getting João Neves, keeping De Bruyne, keeping Foden, and keeping Kovacic and Nunes. That's not going to happen. And of course, by the way, you know what I mean? Can João Neves play a lone six? Does that address our issue of needing a replacement, or not a replacement, but a backup for Rodri? Can João Neves do that? If Rodri goes down for a couple of months with an injury or gets suspended again, can João Neves come in and play as a lone six? Or is he more of like a double pivot type player and needs a more defensive mind? Because if he can't play that lone six on his own, you're still not, because that for me, that's our number one priority this summer, in my opinion. Who can play in that Rodri position when Rodri's not there? Because at the moment, we are getting so lucky with Rodri that he's not getting injured. And he's only had, one suspension this year. Because obviously, you all know about his yellow card thing. We've been monitoring that for weeks, months, to be honest with you, because if he got booked, he would have been out for a couple of games. So for me, I just think that, I like João Neves. I do. But if we get Paqueta, we get João Neves, I'm looking at it going, I'm not sure, man. I don't know for me, guys. I just don't know where we need to go from here, honestly. You have to let me know in the comment section below. Paqueta, by the way, again, I'll say it again, last night, he was absolutely phenomenal. I just think this guy's a Rolls-Royce player. He's got so much talent. He's got flair. He likes to get stuck in. He loves a tackle. Yeah, obviously, he gets a few bookings and that as well. But, that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing getting a couple bookings now and again. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to get stuck in. You're not having it all your own way. Get stuck in, man, and let the other team know you're there. And he has a little bit of that. And he's experienced. Premier League, played in England, you know what I mean? Played European competitions. So for me, Paqueta in, yeah. And then we need to decide what we're doing on that CDM position backup for Rodri, because I'm not sure whether João Neves, for me, I don't know whether or not I'm feeling it. It's a lot of money. Yeah, I mean, by the way, just a quick one before I end. Bernardo Silva, don't go Benfica now. Are you too young, bro? I know he wants to go back to his boyhood club and that, and I respect him for that, but you are leaving so much on the table. You've got more Premier Leagues to win. You've got more Champions Leagues to win, man. Give it another year or two before you go Benfica. Go when you're 33, 34, 35. Not now. I just feel like he's going a little bit too soon. Again, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Smash a like, subscribe, and I'll be back with the live streams tomorrow. Building up, man. It's that big Arsenal game. Peace out, guys.